It is one of the most important documents in history, as it guaranteed the rights of individuals and put forth the principle that even the king was subject to the same laws as all men. Rights that it guaranteed were religious liberty, justice, and a fair trial. On July the 4th, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was voted on and adopted by the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, announcing that the 13 American colonies were now the United States of America and were no longer under British rule. Thomas Jefferson, the principal author of the Declaration, who later became the third president of the United States, wrote what would become one of the most well-known statements on human rights, the most powerful being the second sentence. Quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." End quote. The United States Constitution was signed on September the 17th, 1787, by delegates at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. George Washington, who later became our nation's first president, presided over the convention. James Madison drafted the Constitution and later became our nation's fourth president. The Constitution established our government, our fundamental laws, and guaranteed certain basic rights to our people. On December the 15th, 1791, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution, known as the Bill of Rights, written by James Madison, were ratified and became part of the Constitution. The First Amendment guaranteed 5 basic freedoms: freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to peaceable assembly, and freedom to petition the government for a redress of grievances. The Second Amendment guaranteed the right to keep and bear arms. Democracy in our country gives us many rights and freedoms. There is a difference between a right and a freedom. A right is something that people are entitled to from the government that is a legal, social, or moral claim, and once given, cannot be taken away unless the laws change. People have a legal duty to honor your rights, and the law will protect you if your rights are violated. A freedom is generally something personal that we enjoy that does not involve the government. We have many freedoms, particularly the freedom to make choices. We can choose where we live, what we do with our lives, what kind of work we do, who we marry, how many children we can have. We can choose what we believe, what religion we practice, what we say, and who we associate with. We enjoy the freedoms protected by the First Amendment. Some opposites of freedom are bondage, slavery, incarceration, restricted mobility, and constraints imposed by obligations such as debt. We must not give up our freedom to fear and addictions. There is much confusion about freedom. Janis Joplin, one of the biggest female rock stars of the 60s, had a huge hit titled Me and Bobby McGee, written by Chris Christopherson. The song is about two young lovers traveling around together who break up to experience the world on their own with no attachments. The most famous line in the song is, "Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose." Janis Joplin died of an accidental overdose of heroin at age 27, as reported by the media. If you are using heroin, there is no such thing as an accidental overdose. That is like playing Russian roulette with a gun and saying that a death from the game could be called an accident. We must not surrender our freedoms to drugs and other addictions. Freedom without boundaries is chaos. We must not throw away our precious freedoms. Many men and women have fought and died to preserve and protect our freedoms. Zach Wamp, who represented Tennessee in the United States Congress for 16 years, said, quote, "With freedom comes responsibility, and I can think of no responsibility greater than putting on a U.S. military uniform and standing in the gap between an enemy threat and civilian life," end quote. This 4th of July, I will be relaxing at Virginia Beach, celebrating freedom. And then I will be with my family and friends, enjoying an all-American cookout, hamburgers and hot dogs. I thank God that I am an American. God bless America. Whoa. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share that with you. Now, I want to read the Oxford Dictionary definition of freedom as I continue on my reflections of freedom. Oxford Dictionary on freedom. The power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants. Absence of subjection to foreign domination or to despotic government. The power of self-determination attributed to the will. The quality of being independent of fate or necessity. The state of being unrestricted and able to move easily. Unrestricted use of something. These examples of freedom, they resonate with me, and I know they do for y'all too. Now I want to go back and read some of the quotes from some very, very famous people that I am just proud that I have the opportunity to read what they have given the world. Nelson Mandela, I gave you the first quote. "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." I really like it that Nelson Mandela is talking about the respect for freedom to others. You know, one of the thoughts about freedom is that freedom's not as free as some people think. Respecting others. Yeah, let's keep on here. Nelson Mandela gave another. "Money won't create success. The freedom to make it will." I really like that. Most of these quotes we could talk about for a long time, so I'll try to keep it brief today as I just do an overview as a celebration of freedom and what some great people have said about freedom. But so many people set their goals on money. They basically just think that if they have a life where they make a lot of money, they're going to have a wonderful life. Well, what Nelson Mandela is saying is that it's not the money that gives you the success. It's the fact that you're free to be able to pursue money, to be able to set your goals, to make the amount of money that you want, and not let money just be your end goal. Okay, now this one is by Soledad O'Brien. She's a newscaster on a lot of the top, MSNBC and a lot of others. She's had her own show and stuff like that. But I really love this one. This is a quote by Soledad O'Brien. "I've learned that fear limits you and your vision. It serves as blinders to what may be just a few steps down the road for you. The journey is valuable, but believing in your talents, your abilities, and your self-worth can empower you to walk down an even brighter path. Transforming fear into freedom." How great is that? End quote. Oh, Soledad, you really put out something beautiful. Transforming fear into freedom. How great is that? Here's one that is very, very old. In fact, Thucydides 460 to 400 BC, this Greek Athenian historian and general, and he studied the human condition. He was one of the early historians that really tried to analyze what people want and why they behave the way they do. This one's really simple, but it's been around for 2,500 years. The secret to happiness is freedom, and the secret to freedom is courage. Oh boy, and the secret to freedom is courage. Anybody ever sit down and want to become something, to do something with your life, but you just don't? For some reason or another, you just don't think that you can make it? Well, that's what I want to ask you really quick here. I'm going to come back to the quotes. You need to make an investment in yourself. You need to read. You need to get educated. You need to get a plan. You need to work. You need to study. You need to serve others. Why are you waiting for someone else to give it to you? Why don't you take charge of your life? That's what I'm trying to tell you about today. Question, what are you waiting for? Hey, I can tell you, when you take that leap of faith to go out there and embark on a journey that's the unknown, something that you've wanted to do but you're afraid, it is scary, and it takes a long time. I've already shared with you that I'm going to be 66 years old next week, and the same things that I've been working toward, wanting, desiring, trying to attain from the time I was 16 or 17 years old, close to 50 years, are just now coming into fruition. I've just spent my whole life trying to figure out, why do some people make it and become successful in what they go to do? Why are some people authors that have best-selling books and motivational speakers that many people want to listen to? Why do some people succeed and others don't? Well, a big reason for that is because they have courage. And in America, we have the opportunity to pursue whatever we want, but it takes courage. So I'm encouraging you to have the courage to go out there and embrace this freedom, claim it, take ownership, do something about it. But you have to take responsibility. You really expect somebody else to give it to you? You want to wait for that and then nothing happens and you're still where you were? You can do something with your life. Okay, now, let me continue with some more of these quotes because they get me going. All right, let's see. We just did the quote from Soledad, and then we did Tulicides. Okay, this one's really powerful. Every human has 4 endowments: self-awareness, conscience, independent will, and creative imagination. These give us the ultimate human freedom, the power to choose, to respond, to change. That quote was by Stephen Covey, and he is one of the most successful American motivational speakers, educator. He's an author. His top book that he wrote that is absolutely wonderful, I recommend it, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. Okay, now let's go back in history a little bit. This one, I want you to connect this one with the world that we're living in right now, particularly all of the turmoil that we're experiencing in America. I'm not going to get political, but the person that I'm going to quote next is a political figure. And you can hear what I'm going to tell you that was written in the Civil War days back in the 1860s. And here's what it is. America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will because we destroyed ourselves. Abraham Lincoln, 16th President of the United States, considered by many to be the greatest president we ever had. Okay, here's a good one for you. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom.